Ralph Bakshi, creator of Fritz the Cat and Lord of the Rings, now takes modern animation a quantum leap forward with a motion picture of incredible beauty and remarkable power. American Pop, the story of one family, 4 generations in love with the greatest music of all time. Zalmi should have been a star. Benny could have been famous. Tony had a brush with success, but it was up to Pete to grab it, hold it, and make himself heard. Columbia Pictures presents American Pop, the state of the art in living animation. American Pop, rated R.
That's the trailer for the Ralph Bakshi film American Pop, starring Ron Thompson as Tony and also as Tony's son Pete, a dual role. How did you score both parts?
Well, I went in to audition for, actually for one of the band members, just a very small part, and he had like 3 or 4 others come in and read these parts, and I think I might have had 1 or 2 lines to read, and he stopped me in the middle of the reading. He said, "Who are you? What's your name?" And I told him. He said, "I want him to read Pete." And so he gave me the script. I went outside and I looked at it. I came back in and I said, "Pizza Man, we deliver." And he said, "You got it." Gave me Pete, and we about 3 weeks later, he had everybody come in and shoot a scene from the movie. There was a guy playing Tony, and everybody else came in, and we all shot one scene from the movie. We were not aware at the time that it was actually a test, a screen test, really. Not just for us, but he was testing how he was going to do it. So we did this, and then he called me back in about 2 weeks later, and he said, the guy that's playing Tony, he's a good actor, but he doesn't really understand the process of this film that much. And do you think you could play Tony and Pete? I said, hell yeah. I said, I could play the girl's part too. And so that's how that happened. Ralph is very unconventional, and he does things much different than anybody I ever worked with before. My experience doing the movie with Ralph was one of the most creative experiences I ever had. He would set the camera up and allow me to go and do whatever I wanted to do. He might say something every now and then, but for the most part, he would just leave me alone and let me do what came into my mind. It was quite a creative process. He's an unusual person.
The film is an animated feature which uses the process of rotoscoping, which is tracing and coloring live action into animation. Originally released in 1981, the movie featured popular music spanning like 6 decades, focusing mainly, though, on the 60s and 70s with artists like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Lou Reed, Jefferson Airplane, Bob Dylan. That's just to name a few of the artists featured in the film. But after listening to the trailer audio a few moments ago, one thing in particular is definitely evident, and that's the lack of credit given to the performers. Ron, was this just an oversight, or was it an intentional marketing strategy?
It was an intentional marketing strategy. I can't say. Back when this movie came out in 81, at that point in time, the studios were not publicizing actors that were in animated movies. Today, an actor goes into a studio and does some voiceovers for about an hour, and it's a real big deal that Tom Hanks is in the movie. And you and I both know that what we did in American Pop was not voiceovers. It was a total performance that we did on a sound stage, and then each scene, 24 frames per second, was traced. And then we worked on a sound stage without real background. and so then the background was drawn in. But what you see in the movie, I would say 95% of what you see in the movie is the actor's actual performance, his facial expressions, his movements, his actual performance frame by frame. At times they would exaggerate a little bit because it was an animated movie, but for the most part, that's what you were seeing. And the studios kept anybody from actually knowing that the actors were what the actors were doing.
That's a real shame. So you never got proper credit. Even to this day, when you go and you get online and you research the movie, you are still listed on a lot of websites as voice actor only, and no credit
Right.
given to the fact that you were physically performing in this movie.
Right. Today, a lot of that process, you've said this already, the process was called rotoscoping. And today, it's done with computers. They do rotoscoping with computers because they don't use live animators anymore.
Right.
This was done with actual people sitting at a desk and animating the movie. But today, even Avatar, a great deal of Avatar is rotoscoped.